The thermostat of hell. Imagine you wake up tomorrow morning and your heater is dead. The windows are frosted over, and when you step outside, the air doesn't just feel cold, it hurts. Now imagine there is no inside to go back to. There are no puffer jackets, no grocery stores, and the nearest fire is something you have to start yourself using 2 sticks and a prayer. For over 100,000 years, this wasn't a survivalist challenge. It was just Tuesday. You were living through the last glacial period. The Ice Age. Huge sheets of ice, some 2 miles thick, cover half the planet. You're living in a world where the average temperature has plummeted, and the landscape has transformed into a brutal, windswept tundra. Most species are dying out, but you're about to become the most dominant force the planet has ever seen. How did ancient humans survive a world that was actively trying to freeze them to death? The cold desert. First, we have to debunk a myth. The Ice Age wasn't just a winter wonderland. It was a cold desert. Because so much of the Earth's water was locked up in glaciers, it rarely rained or snowed. Instead, you are dealing with relentless, bone-chilling wind and dust. As a hunter-gatherer, your grocery store has moved. The lush forests are gone, replaced by the mammoth steppe, a massive grassland stretching from France to Canada. You are following the food. This means you aren't just sitting in a cave waiting for spring. You are hiking thousands of miles across frozen terrain. To survive this, your body had to change. We see evidence that ancient humans in these climates developed shorter, stockier limbs and broader torsos, a biological squareness designed to retain core heat. But biology only gets you so far when it's minus 40 degrees. The bone needle. You might think the spear was our greatest invention, but during the Ice Age, the real MVP was the needle. Before the deep freeze, humans wore draped clothing, basically animal skins tied around the waist or shoulders, much like you'd wear a towel after a shower. But in the Ice Age, a gap in your clothes is a death sentence. About 30,000 years ago, you start seeing something incredible in the archaeological record. Tiny, delicate needles carved from bird bones and mammoth tusks. This allowed you to sew tailored clothing. You created the first parkas, trousers, and boots. You learned to layer, using fur on the inside for insulation and tough hides on the outside to block the wind. You didn't just wear fur, you engineered it. You were the first humans to realize that if you sew a hood with a certain type of wolverine fur, it doesn't collect frost from your breath. That's not just survival. That's high-tech engineering. Mammoth bone mansions, but where do you sleep when there are no trees for wood and the ground is too frozen to dig? You look at the biggest thing in the neighborhood, the woolly mammoth. In places like modern-day Ukraine, we found mammoth bone huts. You use the massive jawbones of mammoths to create a circular foundation, stack their tusks to create a domed roof, and drape the whole thing in heavy skins. Inside, you're burning bone fires. Since wood was scarce on the tundra, you discovered that if you cracked open large animal bones, the fatty marrow inside would burn hot and long. You are literally heating your home with the skeletons of your dinner. It's weird, it's macabre, and it's the only reason you're still alive. The social fire. The most important thing you did to survive the Ice Age, however, wasn't a tool or a house, it was each other. We find evidence that during the coldest snaps, human groups got larger, not smaller. You traded jewelry made of seashells with people living hundreds of miles away. You sat around those bonfires and told stories, painted animals on cave walls, and played flutes made of vulture bones. The Ice Age forced us to become hyper-social. We had to share food, share warmth, and share information to stay ahead of the frost. We often think of the Ice Age as a time of primitive struggle, but it was actually our finest hour. It was the period that took a clever ape and turned them into a designer, an architect, and a storyteller. We didn't just survive the ice, we used it as a whetstone to sharpen our minds. So the next time you complain about the AC being too low, remember, your ancestors built mansions out of mammoths, just so you could be here today.